Just to bring you up to speed here, multiple shooting in Aurora, Colorado at the Century 16 movie theater 9 miles east of Denver during a late night showing of The Dark Knight Rises. There are reports of multiple deaths. We are working to confirm that right now. What we can give you is some sound from a witness at the scene.
4, maybe 5 people that were limping, wounded, slightly bloody. The most that I saw was a girl who was pretty much covered in blood, and she didn't have any wounds on her. So, I mean, it made me think the worst.
You've got a lot of horrible images in your mind right now, and I know you said one of the most powerful for you, you saw a little girl.
Yeah, I honestly, I don't know whose little girl that was, but, I mean, my heart goes out to them. I mean, I honestly hope that they're okay. And I hope that, you know, the little girl is okay and she recovers and everything. But a cop came walking through the front door before everyone was cleared up and before everything was completely under control. A cop came walking through the door holding a little girl in his arms, and she wasn't moving. I had heard another witness who was in my theater, someone else that I was talking to before the movie. We were waiting in line for it. She was on the phone, and the really messed up part for me was she told whoever she was talking to that she saw bullet holes in the little girl's back. And I mean, I honestly can't think of any kind of person who would intentionally hurt a little girl. So I mean, it unfortunately makes me think that she just got caught in the crossfire.
And, I mean, how crowded was the theater? I mean, this was an anticipated film. Yeah,
we had 2 lines open, one on one side of the theater, the other on the other side. It's crazy to think that I could have been in Theater 9 because, you know, as soon as we heard the first shots, my sister immediately grabbed my arm and wanted to leave as quick as possible. Yeah, it was terrifying.
You are just listening to some horrific details of an eyewitness who was in that theater when the shootings happened. He said, you know, that a cop came into the theater and he was carrying out a little girl that he thought perhaps was lifeless. He mentioned that maybe bullet holes in the little girl's back. He said the little girl was not moving in the cop's arms. Earlier, we heard from another eyewitness who said that there was smoke, maybe an explosion, that there was confusion in the theater because Dark Knight is a loud movie and there's a lot of explosions and perhaps gunfighting, and they were uncertain whether it was happening in the movie or whether it was happening in front of them.
And to give you a sense of just how unexpected and the environment going into this, we have this really fascinating Twitter feed to show you from someone named Zach Eastman, who was apparently in the theater at the time. Zach says he went to the theater dressed as Bruce Wayne. He was talking about the movie right there. His very next tweet, he says, "I've just evacuated our theater in Aurora. There was a shooting. I am safe." He then says apparently 2 people were shot. There was a shooting there. He saw people carried to an ambulance, and he said it was very, very, very scary. He says he's heard only rumors right now about the number of people killed. There's a lot of stories going on right now. And finally, he says he's a bit shaken up at the moment. Not going to lie, that was extremely terrifying. It must have been terrifying. You're at this theater in the middle of the night going to see what may be the biggest movie of the summer, dressed as Bruce Wayne even. Yeah. It's a very festive occasion, and then shots ring out. You're not sure what's going on because, again, the movie, there are explosions, who knows. Multiple people shot, reports of multiple deaths. We are working to confirm that now.
And we're also awaiting a press conference. It should be happening in about 5 minutes here with the police chief in that area. And, of course, we're going to bring that to you the minute that they start that press conference. And I just want to recap, because the injuries here, you know, we're just trying to figure out how great are they. We talked to Jackie Montgomery, who's a spokesperson at the University of Colorado Hospitals. She said that 20 patients arrived at her hospital, and the injuries were from minor to critical. But she was not very specific about those critical injuries, other than to say that they are gunshot wounds. And we also reported earlier that at Swedish Medical Center, they were alerted to a mass casualty incident. That's what they called it. At 1:15 in the morning, 3 patients in critical condition were transported to their hospital. But she was told, or that hospital was told, Nicole Williams there was told to prepare for up to 20 more patients. So a lot of hospital response here, a lot of ambulances on the scene. The number of deaths versus the number of injuries. We are still uncertain about that, but we're trying to get those details as soon as they become available. A lot of confusion inside that movie theater.
You can see the live pictures right now outside the Century 16 movie theater in Aurora. We are told more than 250 police officers from across the Denver metro area have been called to the scene. They are on the scene at this very moment. The Denver Post getting some scant details. We're all looking into this right now. They're saying between 12 and 15 shots were fired. Again, we haven't confirmed this yet. We are looking into this right now. Different accounts of this harrowing moment coming in.
We have a Google map for you sweeping in on the scene here that we'd like to share with you so that you see precisely where this is. So this is 9 miles from Denver. It is probably about a 20-minute drive. It was last night's showing of The Dark Knight. Multiple shooting that happened there. You had some more details. Was it from the police department, John, that you were sharing?
The 250 police now on the scene there. You can see the flashing lights from across the metro area. We've been looking at these pictures for about 20 minutes now. Looks fairly calm on the scene now. Sometimes pictures can be deceiving. We have been told that people from the theater have been evacuated to local high school where they were being questioned by police to try to piece together what's been going on there right now.
And actually, one of the eyewitnesses that we were just listening to a little while ago said that the scene is calm now, that it was chaotic, but as soon as the police arrived, they were able to reestablish order. He's the one who talked about that little girl in the police officer's arms, which, you know, may become the story here, right? He said that it looked like perhaps she had some gunshot wounds to her back, and he said that she appeared lifeless in the officer's arms. He questioned who would do something like this, and, you know, we don't know the age of that little girl that he was talking about. We don't have any more details on her or her condition. But it was a chaotic scene in there. We had another eyewitness who said that there was a lot of noise, so they were uncertain whether it was the actual movie or whether something was happening inside the movie theater. A lot of people have talked about smoke, right? That there was some smoke at that location as well. We've heard reports of explosions. We have yet to confirm exactly what happened on the scene, except that, you know, there has been a mass shooting. There are casualties, and there are a lot of people in hospitals.
Zoraida, I can tell you right now that we can report that 10 people are dead in the scene. This coming from two of our affiliates there, KUSA and KMGH. They say police on the scene reporting 10 people have been killed in this horrific shooting at the movie theater overnight in Aurora, Colorado. At least 20 people injured. Multiple deaths, 10 people dead, a late night showing of The Dark Knight Rises, Aurora, Colorado, 9 miles east of Denver. We can now confirm, based on reporting from two of our affiliates, 10 people killed overnight.
And also Jackie Montgomery, who's a spokesperson at the University of Colorado Hospital, she mentioned those 20 patients that arrived at her hospital, and she said that they were from minor to critical injuries. So, you know, hopefully those that are critical will survive. You know, she said that they were all gunshot wounds, so we'll wait and see what happens there. And then at the other hospital, they had also received 2 people in critical condition. We're expecting another 20 people to arrive at their hospital. We have not confirmed yet how many have arrived at that hospital. We are checking into that as well. But this, you know, not what you expect to happen when you are waiting in line to go to a blockbuster movie, what's expected to be the blockbuster of the summer, and then this unfolds. The why, we don't know. Trying to figure that out. What happened inside this movie theater that, you know, caused this kind of commotion and chaos, and just the level of casualties here.
We have more sound from a witness right now. Let's take a listen.
We were watching a scene of the movie. It was a shootout scene. There were guns firing, and then a loud bangs came from the right of the theater. Smoke took over the entire theater and everything, and it was really thick, and no one could really see anything. Me and my sister were sitting there wondering what was going on.
Want to do this?
We're good.
We have on the line with us right now Nicole Williams from the Swedish Medical Center. Nicole, can you hear me?
Hi, yes. Sorry.
Nicole, tell me the situation at your hospital. How many victims do you have on hand at this moment?
Sure. We originally received 3 patients, both inbound in critical condition. When this incident occurred, we received an 18-year-old male, a 29-year-old male, and a 20-year-old female. We have since been able to treat and release the 18-year-old male. We have the other 2 patients still listed in critical condition at this time.
Critical. Improving, do we think?
At this point, I really don't know. It looks like they've both gone to OR. So we're not sure at this time, what their condition is or the extent of their injuries. And
have you been told to prepare for more shooting victims at this point, or do you think the 3 you have on hand now that's the extent of it?
At this point, we're not expecting to receive any more patients directly from the scene via ambulance. We were originally told to expect up to 20 patients inbound, but we've since been able to staff down slightly. We are hearing that some of the area hospitals are receiving walk-ins of patients that drove themselves to area hospitals. So, of course, we are ready to accommodate any patients that may show up that way, but we have been told by Aurora EMS that we will not receive any more patients via ambulance.
All right, Nicole Williams at the Swedish Medical Center, where they received 3 of the shooting victims, 3 people injured, 1 18-year-old male, already released 2 other patients at this point in critical condition. Nicole, thank you very much. Maybe we can check back in with you a little bit later.
And good luck. So what we can confirm now is that 10 people are dead. They are confirmed dead, and that there are, many that have gone to area hospitals. And as you just heard, a lot of people walking themselves into hospitals, not sure what the extent of their injuries are, if it's more the trauma of what they have experienced this evening. There is a press conference that we're expecting here shortly at any moment. The police chief is going to address the crowds, and of course, the minute that happens, we are going to bring that to you. So let's set the scene here for you again, exactly where we are. This is 9 miles from Denver. It's the Century 16 movie theater. It's about a 20-minute drive from Denver. It was, the premiere, that opening of Dark Knight. A lot of people anticipating this to be a blockbuster for the summer.
Must have been a packed theater.
Absolutely. And we have a lot of eyewitness reports of exactly what was going on in that theater. There was one gentleman who said they were in the middle of a scene where there was a lot of gunfighting. And so they were uncertain, what was happening. It was so chaotic. Was the gunfighting part of the scene? Was it something that was happening inside the movie theater? He mentioned smoke, an explosion, that there were a lot of noises. And then, probably the most difficult thing to hear from him is he said, there was a police presence that happened fairly quickly, and that he saw a police officer carrying a little girl in his arms, and that there were bullet wounds to her back, that her body was lifeless. We don't know the age of the little girl, but, he mentioned, he said, who would do something this horrific?
And you can see a huge police presence on the scene. The Denver Post reporting more than 250 police from the Aurora area, which really is the Denver area, racing to the scene right there. It's a crime scene, obviously a crime scene. We have no details on who may have carried out this shooting. The Denver Post also reporting that it was sometime after 1 a.m. local, so that would be 3 a.m. Eastern, a little more than 2 hours ago when this all happened. It was sometime more than 2 hours ago when police received reports of gunshots at this movie theater, the Century 16 movie theater in Aurora, Colorado, again, 9 miles east of Denver. We can confirm at this point that 10 people have been killed. That's what police on the ground are telling 2 of our local affiliates there. Again, it's eerily calm right now as you're looking at these pictures, but 2 hours ago, must have been mayhem.
Yes, and not too long ago, we also spoke with Jackie Montgomery, who's the spokesperson for the University of Colorado Hospitals, and she mentioned that they had received 20 patients, some of them with minor injuries, but some of them were critically injured. So we're trying to figure out exactly how many injuries there are out there at local hospitals.
Let's take you right to the scene right now. We're going to listen in to our affiliate KUSA and get some of their coverage.
The person was well protected and pretty heavily geared up for an event like this. And there is still a heavy police presence down here. They're going to be screening this area, looking just to make sure there's not anybody else involved. But again, the witnesses that we're talking to believe that there was only one person involved. So we'll hope that the police bear that out when they talk with this cop.
Now, the witnesses earlier, Nicole Vapp was mentioning that there are RTD buses waiting to take them away. The parking lot's probably still cordoned off. They can't go anywhere just yet, I would assume.
Yeah, well, some of the folks we talked to that were not in Theater 9 were already allowed to walk out and come over here. But I imagine they're going to want to talk to, if Theater 9 was the active shooting scene, that's where they're going to want to talk to everyone who was in there.
Okay,
everyone.
Brandon, we're going to take a break with you right now because the police department in Aurora is about to hold a press conference. Is it getting underway right now? Again, they're going to be talking about what has happened.
We want to take you to the scene right now of a police news conference that we believe is getting started right now in Aurora. Not quite yet. Sorry, we're going to wait on that police news conference. That hopefully will be starting soon. We would love to get more details about this shooting.